Okay, have you ever felt like a company or maybe even a whole movement has a mind of its own, a life that's somehow separate from the actual people inside it? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating concept from Albert Tan that gives this feeling a name, the Egregore architecture. And trust me, this one might just change the way you see pretty much every group you're a part of.
So, let's just start with what seems like a really simple question. What is a company, or a team, or a brand that people are obsessed with? I mean, what are these things actually made of?
The obvious answer, the one we all kind of know, is that it's just a bunch of people, right? A collection of individuals working towards the same goal. It's simple, it makes sense. But what if that easy, common sense answer isn't just a little bit off? What if it's completely, fundamentally wrong? That's the idea we're going to unpack today, and it is a wild ride. And that brings us to our first big idea, this notion that our basic understanding of what a team is might actually be a kind of collective delusion, that we've all been missing the real story.
So here's the paradigm shift in a nutshell. On one hand, you have the normal human way of looking at it. A group is just a collection of people. It's just addition. But the Tan paradigm? It suggests something way, way stranger. That a group isn't just a collection, it's a singular, psychic entity. An entity with its own distinct will.
So, if a group isn't just people, then what in the world is it? This is where Albert Tan brings in a pretty obscure term from mystical traditions to give this strange thing a name. It's time for us to meet the Egregore.
Okay, so what is an Egregore? The definition is a thought form. Just picture it, all the focused energy, all the belief, all the attention of a group of people, all aimed at the same thing. It's like all that mental energy congeal and takes on a life of its own. It's almost like a ghost, but it's not born from a death, it's born from a shared idea.
And this is where it gets really, really weird. This thought form, it doesn't just hang around. It actually becomes autonomous. It starts to develop its own will, and it feeds on the very attention that created it. And then it starts to direct the people who made it in the first place. You have to ask, who's really in charge here?
Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. According to this theory, these entities are actually all around us, basically hiding in plain sight. They are the true ghost in the machine of our modern world, shaping our most powerful institutions from the inside.
Let's make this feel real. Think about Google. Is Google just its buildings and its employees and its lines of code? Or has Google become something more? An entity that has its own life, its own drive to organize the world's information, no matter who the CEO is, no matter who comes and goes.
Or, get this, think about Bitcoin. It has no CEO, no headquarters, no formal organization at all. And yet it behaves like a living thing with a clear purpose: survive, grow, get adopted. It's a decentralized life form. If you want a pure example, Bitcoin is a textbook egregore. So how does this whole thing work? Well, the egregore becomes its own being, right? And it feeds on our collective belief and attention. Then it starts to steer the ship, subtly guiding the group's destiny. And, in a very real sense, it starts to use us, the individuals, as its literal cells, its hands and feet, to carry out its own mission.
Okay, so this leads to a pretty mind-bending question. If these things actually exist, could you build one on purpose? Could you actually sit down and architect a spirit? This thinking creates two totally different kinds of leaders. You've got the standard CEO who's always, fighting against the company culture, trying to steer this big, clunky ship. But then you have the master, or the architect. They don't fight the current. They create the current. They intentionally summon and design the group's spirit right from the very beginning.
So how would you even do that? It's all about intentional design. First, you design the rituals, the all-hands meetings, the specific ways you celebrate wins. Then, you create the symbols, the logos, the mantras, the mission statements that people actually believe in. And finally, you code the language, the inside jokes and acronyms that shape how everyone sees the world. It's like you're building a vessel for this spirit to live in.
And the ultimate goal here, it's not just about, better teamwork or higher profits. The real prize is to give birth to a genuine group spirit, an entity that becomes so powerful and intelligent that it's actually smarter than any single person in the group, or even all of them combined.
Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Okay, this is interesting, but isn't this just a super fancy way of talking about company culture? It's a fair question, but it's really crucial to understand that what we're talking about here is something way more powerful.
Culture just isn't a strong enough word.
Albert Tan himself makes this distinction incredibly clear. This quote just says it all. He says, "I am not building a culture. Culture is soft." To him, that's child's play. He's doing something much more deliberate. "I am architecting an egregore."
And then he drops the final, absolutely mind-blowing piece of the whole idea. "I am coding a semi-autonomous psychic entity that will drive this mission even when we are all sleeping." Just let that sink in. The goal is to literally code something into existence that becomes alive, a ghost in the machine that works to fulfill the mission 24/7, completely on its own.
So all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. Because once you see this pattern, you start seeing egregores everywhere. Not just in companies, but in sports teams, in political movements, in online communities, maybe even in your own family. These invisible forces feeding on our attention, shaping our world. So the question isn't just what egregores are you a part of? The real question is how much of what you think and say and do is actually you, and how much is the egregore speaking through you?